Hey guys, Cam315 back out of another video for you guys. Back talking more WWE. Now it's been a while since I last talked WWE. I think the last WWE video I talked about was the John Cena heel turn and the fact that he won the championship and stuff like that and ended up becoming the 17-time world champion. And tonight was SummerSlam night 2. Um, SummerSlam as a whole, I thought was fine for the most part. Honestly, I thought it was fine. The matches for night one were all right. Obviously, the main event was great. The matches for night, and then obviously, the shocking, fact of Seth Rollins actually wasn't injured this entire time, and he ended up screwing. Well, not well. He didn't screw CM Punk, but I guess you can say he screwed CM Punk out of him winning the world championship, and now Seth Rollins the world champion. Where that's gonna go. More than likely, what I see is he's definitely holding on to the title till WrestleMania because my number one prediction is that Sami Zayn is going to more than likely be the Royal Rumble winner for 2026. Especially the fact that they're holding it in Saudi Arabia and he's beloved over there now, right? But he's probably going to win it all and he's going to beat Seth Rollins for the championship because he's been on this story, he's been on this arc about not winning a world champion or world championship. So Sami Zayn is more than likely going to win the Royal Rumble, and then he's going to challenge Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship and beat Seth Rollins to be a world champion, which that's fine, right? Um, so yeah, but that was a shocking moment within itself because legitimately, when I go back to that night and he's like, "I'm coming. When I come back, I'm gonna freaking get you," right? But then he walked away and then he threw the freaking can. I'm like, ain't no way WWE is doing this, sending this guy out just to say that, and then we're just gonna go off for the night, right? And then he threw away the freaking crutches, and then he ran to the ring, and I'm like, oh my goodness, these dudes fucking lied to us. He was never really that badly hurt. He was a-okay, but they made it seem like he was hurt. So good on WWE to hide something from there. And then night two, the matches were fine. The triple threat match was fine with the women. The obviously the ladder match was great. It was great. I think most fans can agree the fact that I think the Wyatt Six, nobody is actually invested in them anymore. Like, yeah, when they first appeared, they were invested. And it's like, okay, let's see how this goes. What is Triple H gonna do with the Wyatt family stuff? And they basically did absolutely nothing with it. The group was dead essentially because they were gone for months, and then they come back and then they become the freaking tag team champions and stuff like that. So yeah, but when they went up to go get the freaking belts, the crowd was actually booing, and you could hear the boos. And it's like it's clear people are kind of sick of the Wyatt Six now. Like legitimately, people probably are like, bro. Honestly, I was pulling for Phoenix and Andrade to win the belts. But then they have the Wyatts took them out, and then I was like, oh, okay. So I don't know what the hell this means for the SmackDown Tag Team division, if I'm being honest. Personally, I would have just reset it by having Ray Phoenix and Andrade win because legitimately, nobody is resonating with the Wyatts again. Like, when I just fully believe once this whole Wyatt Six stuff is done, I don't think they're gonna bring the Wyatts back. I think especially out of respect for Bray Wyatt, rest in peace. I think they're just gonna can that whole thing. Cause like shit, we still haven't even seen AKA Bo Dallas wrestle in a one-on-one match as Uncle Howdy. And it's like, what are we doing with these guys? So I don't know. But that match was entertaining. That match was entertaining. Becky Lynch versus Lyra was I thought fine. What was good. Crazy where that's going. I take it Bailey versus Becky at Clash of Paris. So there's that. And then you had AJ Styles versus Dominic Mysterio, and then you had that, which was again another good match. Dominic Mysterio won, and then obviously you had the main event of the night, which was John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, and this was John Cena returning or his first match as a babyface since going heel. against Cody Rhodes, and we got a rematch at WrestleMania 41, and stuff like that. And this match was amazing. This match was great from beginning to end. This match was great. Um, like I think it's clear WWE, Cody Rhodes, and John Cena more than likely heard the hate and the disgust and the obviously the fact of how the WrestleMania night two main event went, and people said, "No, that match fucking sucked." And on top of it, the Travis Scott shit. Um, they heard all that, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, sure. Let's rectify that." Because even before SummerSlam, on frickin' SmackDown, basically the night before, they basically just said, you know what, fuck this John Cena heel turn shit. We're changing everything back to what it needs to be. And they basically just made it to where John Cena went back babyface on SmackDown. He shit on The Rock and Travis Scott for basically abandoning him. Like he legitimately made a mention. He legitimately quote unquote said, you know, yeah, the talking heads, they wanted this viral moment, and we did that. And then they just were gone. If that isn't basically WWE, basically, aka Triple H and Creative, basically giving the straight up middle finger and straight up FU to The Rock and Travis Scott for basically bailing out on the story. It's morally an FU to The Rock for bailing on the story that he created and just not rectifying and coming in and making appearances here and there like Cena does to make the heel turn even more impressive. And maybe at one of these points, maybe in like a future video, I'm gonna have to talk about the John Cena heel run in terms of, you know, was it successful? Was it a failure? I think we can all admit, even though there were some solid, fun moments here and there, it at the end of the day, even I have to say it as a John Cena fan, it was an objective failure of a heel turn. And again, it just goes to show you, realistically, the heel turn, it it should have happened. It should have not happened if The Rock was going to get involved. If you still wanted to turn John Cena heel, I was still the belief you should have did it at WrestleMania 41 for that shock value, and then it just would have been John Cena as a heel on his own. It would have been, which means he would have no illiterate ties to anything to do with The Rock, or anything like that. But because whatever reason, when you go back to the situation, TKO was worried about freaking ticket sales not doing well for the event, even though they legitimately were doing well. And Ari Emanuel, who is the head of TKO, basically gave a call to Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and basically said, "Hey man, we need more tickets to be sold. Can you come up with something story related?" And then obviously you find out some information that apparently, especially later on, that apparently he wanted Cody Rhodes to actually go heel initially, and WWE and Triple H were like, no, 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 he can't. We can't do that. He's our biggest money maker at this point in time. He's our biggest babyface. And they basically kind of just said, hey, how about we just turn John Cena heel and you play into the story? And The Rock was kind of just like, okay, okay, yeah, sure, fine. And then obviously WrestleMania 41 comes, night two comes. The dumbass never shows up, no shows. He's just in Hawaii chilling with his family. No shows to wrap and put a bow on the storyline he created, right? We just get Travis Scott walking. And still to this day, every time I hear the song Fiend at any event I go to, yes, I get PTSD from WrestleMania 41. I guarantee you, 100%. I could watch WrestleMania 41 back, especially night two, back with my children, and I'll be like, you guys don't understand how much damage the song Fiend did to people's mindsets back in 2025. It's a cursed song. Because I'm not joking. I think any wrestling fan that hears, especially WWE fan that hears the song Fiend, they just think about WrestleMania night 42, 41, night 2, and they're just like, yeah, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing, right? And then but again, he doesn't wrap up this whole story, And then he goes out on the Pat McAfee show like a week or two later, because more than likely TKO and WWE basically gave him a call saying, "Hey man, we need damage control, bro. Fans are really hating what we just did and the fact you didn't show up." And The Rock basically came on and tried to do the damage control, but in all honesty, he made it worse, because the guy essentially came out and said, "Yeah, I was never going to show up and stuff like that. I was just at home chilling because I just wanted to be a fan and I just wanted to let John and Cody do their thing." And he arguably made it worse with his explanation. And for some people, it legitimately tanked the John Cena heel turn. And altogether, it did tank the John Cena heel turn. Because realistically, the John Cena heel turn, it just came across as, well, his only excuse was he did not like the fact the fans treated him wrong. There was nothing to do with it, and on top of it, they didn't really mention the fucking Rock at all in anything. There's only mentions of the Rock one time by Cody, one time by Cena after he turned heel, and then even the Monday night after WrestleMania, CM Punk made a mention about the Rock. Since then, he's been a virtual no-show. So that SmackDown on Friday, this past Friday, was basically a big FU, and it was basically WWE's way of saying, okay, yeah, we're gonna crumble up the piece of paper that we had for this storyline and throw it in the fucking trash, never be seen, heard of again. And essentially, they basically also admitted they fucked up. Um, Also, this also just further means that I hope going forward, and I think I've said this before in a video, if I've already talked about it before, but if I haven't, this is my stance. If The Rock is going to come back and interject himself into stories, I would like him to fulfill his end of the bargain and finish off the story. Like, for example, what he did with WrestleMania 40 last year. He was there integral to the story and he committed to it, and it ended up becoming a great thing. He did the same thing again, but this time he no-showed. Personally, I think politics-wise, he did that shit because he was pissed off he wasn't getting what he wanted to get again. One, he wanted to screw over technically Cody in a weird, crazy way because his ego's too fucking big, of saying like, this is what you're gonna fucking get for taking my spot. I was supposed to have this last year with my cousin, right? And then also was a big FU to Triple H of saying, you're changing my fucking plans again for the second straight year in a row. And instead of being a professional and just dealing with the circumstances it is and committing to the story, the dude didn't commit to the story and they no-showed. And then obviously the way that we, as of recently, we've seen how WWE has been basically talking shit on Travis Scott. It sounds like basically WWE and Travis Scott had a falling out, and because of it, well, now they're not going to bring Travis Scott back to their television ever again, more than likely. They're probably not going to even know the way they're talking about him. They're probably not even going to associate with Travis Scott anymore. So for all we know, Travis Scott may be just blacklisted, and it's one of those dudes and one of those celebrities they're not going to bring again or bring back again in any meaningful way. So regardless, they did that and they turned John Cena back to a babyface, and basically WWE admitted like, okay, yeah, this was probably we probably should have never did this. Which it goes for some fans saying, see, you probably should have just kept him babyface for the entire summer instead of do this forced heel, and for what some people say, a forced heel turn because you wanted to make a viral moment. Which, look, the heel turn was a viral moment. It was something that captivated damn near the entire world. Oh, John Cena's turning heel? Oh my God. And that's what John Cena mentioned in the promo on Friday. He talked about having a viral moment that nothing came to fruition, and the guys that I thought were going to be here, well, they never just freaking showed up. So it's going to be very funny, especially with the Fast and Furious, because it's already known that The Rock is coming back for Fast and Furious, and barring if John Cena's character, Jacob Toretto, is not dead, which I don't think he is, because in fact in that universe you could legitimately bring people back, like legitimately. I don't know much about the universe, but I do know they brought dudes back that people thought were dead, essentially, right, in that franchise. So I'm gonna think that John Cena's character in the Fast and Furious universe is not dead. So I can only imagine if there's any tension between The Rock and frickin' Cena. and everything. I think at this point in their careers, they're gonna let bygones be bygones, right? But it'll be definitely interesting to see if there's any beef or if The Rock took anything personal from what they said on SmackDown and shit like that. But knowing The Rock and the fact that his ego's big, I bet you deep down it did hit him and it did be like, you didn't have to say that, but okay, right? But they did that, and this match, again, like I said, you know, they basically shut everybody up who was very visibly upset with the WrestleMania night or WrestleMania night 2 match because most people thought the match as a whole just wasn't good. And then when you had the Travis Scott stuff show where he just showed up, people just said it just made it even worse to the point it's one of the worst WrestleMania main events, in company history. And tonight, Cody Rhodes, John Cena, whoever was the producers for this match, right? They heard the complaints from WrestleMania Night 1 and they said, all right, we're going to rectify this shit. And they legitimately went absolutely insane. Like, this match was great, bro. This match was amazing. They went all the way out. They went balls to the wall crazy, right? And they legitimately did everything they could. And plus, with the fact that it was a street fight, they could do more than just a regular wrestling match. But like, for example, like this match, people said, "Oh, Cena lost a step." Yes, it's clear he older and he's lost a step, but he can still wrestle. Like he ended up pulling out like a code red in this match, right? Which was something we haven't seen him do since like fucking 20, like the mid 2015, like 2015, 2016, 2017, around basically his last actual full-time run. That's when he actually started doing that technique, move or whatever, right? And they went crazy. They legitimately killed it. Legitimately killed it tonight. And legitimately, when you look at it, it's like, well, then damn, if that was the case, it was going to be babyface versus babyface just all together. This probably should have just been the initial match that we should have just gotten at WrestleMania 41. Them going absolutely batshit crazy, you know, and they're both babyface. So it's clear they could have did babyface versus babyface at WrestleMania 41, legitimately. And the fact that they killed it tonight, all it makes that means, well, guess what? You're gonna probably rewatch SummerSlam 2025, especially if you're gonna see this match too. So the match was good, man. They were going crazy. They even fought, outside the ring, even onto the concourse areas of MetLife Stadium and everything. They slammed each other through tables and freaking, hit each other with chairs. Cena freaking took a bump on a freaking, excuse me, steel barricade going through it. Right. Freaking, you have it where John Cena has got Cody Rhodes in the attitude adjustment position, and he's coming up through his entrance through the ground, which was crazy. It was just a damn good match, man. And then you had and stuff like that. Now, my whole thing going into this match was I'm like, okay, street fight rules. All right, I think maybe we're gonna have Cody Rhodes turn heel. I think he's gonna go bad this time, right? And they're gonna do a flip. They're gonna do a switch, right? And maybe secretly, maybe The Rock does show up, and this time, boom, 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 he gets what he wants this time. And yes, there was moments in the match where Cody showed heel tendencies, and the fact also too the crowd was booing, as well, at Cody Rhodes in the match because they clearly, obviously, the crowd is pro Cena, and they were obviously pro Cena throughout the heel turn, which is also, I think, another reason why they quickly pivoted after like 3 months. They immediately changed the course of the heel turn because the dude is just getting cheered more than he's getting booed, and stuff like that. Um, and essentially, yeah, there was some heel tendencies, like obviously the pile driver that he did right, and then obviously hitting, breaking off the ring bump and hitting him with the steel ring pipe and everything. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm like, are we gonna get a heel turn or whatever? Are we gonna get Rock showing up maybe at some point? And he comes in, and then it looks like, oh, he's gonna support Cena finally, but then he tells Cody do it or something like that. No, we don't get none of that. And Cody Rhodes actually beats John Cena clean. He beats him clean. He does a Cody cutter, or basically into the table. Cena's laying up against the ropes. Cody Rhodes does the salute like one final time type of thing, and you see the emotion in his face. At that point, I knew him like, yeah, he's fucking winning this, right? And then he gives the crossroads to John Cena. 1, 2, 3, match over, and yeah, that was it. Um, and stuff like that. You have a nice moment after the match is over where basically, in a weird symbiotic type of way, because you remember from WrestleMania 29, which was the same venue that they had it here for this SummerSlam, John Cena beat The Rock, and in a proverbial way, even though technically John Cena at the time was the head guy, regardless, The Rock at that point, because they were going over the champion, they were fighting over the championship, at that proverbial point in time, I guess you can say, in a weird way, it was The Rock gave John Cena the passing the torch to kind of run the company for the next few years, even though technically he was the top guy already, because that was like 2013. Yeah, that was 2013, right? So it was kind of a passing of a torch fully from The Rock to Cena as a passing of the era, right? Even though technically Cena was running the entire 2000s and then 2010s era as well. And basically, in this way, it was John Cena basically doing the same thing. He gets the champion, he picks up the championship, he gives it to Cody as basically a proverbial passing of the torch of saying, now you're the number one dude. Now you need to take the company, where it needs to go by the time I get out, right? Um, and stuff like that. They had one last embrace. Obviously, it was emotional. You could see Cody Rhodes was crying because more than likely, this is it. They're just like with the Punk stuff. They're not gonna have another match again. That's it. Now, will we have a thing? Maybe do they team up together one time? I don't know. We'll see. But for all I know, this is gonna be it. That's it. That's why Cody Rhodes, when they were hugging that last time at the end of the match, Duke was damn near on the verge of tears because he knew, no, this is it. This is gonna be the last time I'm ever gonna be in the ring with John Cena again. So yeah, and that's basically it and everything. And John Cena was getting applause from the crowd and everything, the thank you Cena stuff, and everybody was everything. And no, and then as I'm watching this, I'm like, that's it, that's it. Okay, I guess that's it. Fine. Now, leading up to this match, Triple H, I think he even came out to the crowd and he said, "You're prepared to be shocked by something. There's gonna be a shocking, there's gonna be something shocking that you guys are gonna be shocked by." And I'm watching this, I'm like, so is Triple H just said nothing, right? Was that all just bullshit that he just said? Like, oh, you're gonna be shocked for what you're doing. I'm like, because legitimately, if that's the case, then the only thing that I would be shocked by is the freaking the TLC match. The TLC match was crazy what they did, and shocking with what they did too in that match. But I'm just like, Triple H, man, I like you, but like, bro, if you're telling me something shocking, I expect you to hold your end of the bargain up. And I'm just like, well, okay. I guess we're just gonna get nothing. And then it looks like John Cena's gonna leave the ring, and then you hear Brock Lesnar's theme song, Pira, where you get the dun, 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 dun. And then I'm just like, huh? And I'm just like, no way they brought this guy back. Lo and behold, he comes out, Brock Lesnar comes out in person, walks down to the ring, he walks around the ring, stops near the announce table, takes off his freaking jacket, takes off his hat, gets in the ring, F5 John Cena, gets out, walks away, done. And then John Cena, obviously, he gets back up. Obviously, the crowd starts chanting, "Thank you, Cena." He does the whole thank you and then looks back at the crowd, and that's it, which only just means that's what's going to be happening going forward. These moments, now that he's a babyface, he's going to now recognize and acknowledge the crowd and be appreciative of the crowd and thank the crowd for what they did, right? When he was heel, Now, as opposed to when he was heel, he couldn't do that. He just walked away and everything, right? Now he can actually do that. Thank the crowd for what, for coming out, supporting and everything. At the same time, thanking them for, everything. But at the same time, the crowd finally gets to say thank you, Cena, and all that stuff. So, yeah, Brock Lesnar's back. That's the shocking thing. I guess that's what Triple H made a mention about shocking. So Brock Lesnar's back. Now, before I get out of here, obviously you're asking, how the hell is Brock Lesnar back? Why is he back? And the reason why people are asking is because of the Vince McMahon allegations and the lawsuit against Vince McMahon regarding the Janelle Grant stuff. Now, I'm not going to go crazy much into everything into that. If not, I'm just not going to do that. You guys already seen other podcasters talk about that stuff. Um, but there was a part in the report that made it sound like Vince had something to do with a WWE superstar, and they had a correlation to do it with, of like a correlation, to do with the Janelle Grant stuff, and then and basically people kind of deduce, oh shit, this is Brock Lesnar that was a part of these allegations. And because of it, WWE immediately had nothing. Obviously, they cut their ties with Vince, but they basically kind of cut their ties with Lesnar. And Lesnar was never seen again for a long time. Like the last time we saw Lesnar was legitimately, I believe, his Cody Rhodes feud back last year in the summertime. And then the allegations came out, and then boom, we never saw Brock Lesnar again. So yeah. Now, funny enough, casually yesterday, they announced after WrestleMania night or WrestleMania, SummerSlam night one, went off the air. People had reports casually talking about how WWE is not doing their their PLE post, post show press conferences anymore. That's basically dead. They're not doing that shit no more, right? Um, And obviously, you had some fans like, you know what? That's actually a smart ass idea. We didn't like those. I didn't care for those. No point in doing that stuff anymore, right? But they're still obviously doing their post show, the regular post show. They're just not having the press conference with the media in there. One, I also felt like they canceled it because, media members were just asking dumbass questions. Like they were just asking dumb questions, bro. But now that now that Brock Lesnar's come back, I think now we know why they canceled the post-show press conferences. Because Brock Lesnar's back, and I bet you if they held it tonight, a lot of people will be asking Triple H, uh, what's going on here? What is wrong with the allegations? Is this guy cleared of that? And we all know TKO in WWE does not want to deal with that. Now, look, I don't know what to say about this. I really don't because the guy was basically indirectly involved in all of these issues that came up, right, with the Vince stuff. And I don't know how to legitimately feel about it. In one case, half of me is like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Brock Lesnar's been one of John Cena's hated rivals since John Cena first got to the damn WWE. You know, they've always been a thing where they've never seen eye to eye. They've always had beef. They just don't like each other, right? They have matches over and over again, right? So, okay, here's the thing. They're doing a match. Somebody of John Cena's past because boom, boom, boom. They've kind of been on this thing where it's John Cena's last ride. They kind of want to get him going up against some people that, obviously he's had in his history, maybe potentially some new wrestlers and stuff like that. That's why At this point, it seems like he's just gonna be wrestling people he's already wrestled before. Probably not somebody new outside with with the exception of Cody Rhodes, even though this modern Cody Rhodes, because he has wrestled Cody Rhodes in the past, but this was like Cody Rhodes back when he was like either a mid card or I guess when he was a part of Legacy, and stuff like that, right? With the Randy Orton stable back in the day. But you get my point there, right? Um, so in one case, yes, there's that. Okay, that could be interesting. Another case myself is like, why is this guy back? I thought he was a part of these allegations that were very seriously, and TKO legitimately did not play around with that shit. And then it also doesn't add to the fact that like a few days or like a week or two ago, maybe about a month ago, Daniel Cormier, who's a part of the UFC, which is a part of TKO, they asked him a question indirectly about Brock, and he was kind of like, ugh. Yeah, man, look, man, for all I know, Brock is not on TKO's most favorite list. And all I can say is, the shit he's done, it's something that I don't want to say on live television. You know, basically saying like, yeah, he got himself into some really bad shit. So I'm not, it's best not to talk about it on air, right? Because he came out there and Daniel Cormier, again, UFC, they're part of the TKO branch and everything, because even WWE does promote UFC events. And I'm getting that from Daniel Cormier, who's very clued in, and I think he would be clued into the Brock Lesnar stuff, and especially with whatever how the higher ups of TKO feel about the Brock Lesnar situation. I think he, out of anybody, is a credible source to say, you know, yeah, I don't know, man. I think this is, it's not. He's a guy that's kind of like you don't want to hear what's going on, like it's bad. Like he basically made it like alluded to the fact like the dude was basically blacklisted, right? He was on one of those lists where it's like TKO does not want to associate with, and he's back now. Um, Look, man, this is definitely going to create some divide in the wrestling community. You're gonna have some fans that just be like, okay, whatever, cool, big deal, whatever, stuff like that. While other fans, obviously, and hey, they have the right to feel, about themselves, about the way about it themselves, and you can't. That's their opinion, right? And I 100% respect that opinion because the Vince stuff is very serious, right? And I personally, if you ask me, I still think he did that shit. I don't give a crap, right? It's just in the Vince character of why he would do something as heinous as he did in that stuff, right? But I can see why some fans, especially what I've been seeing on social media, they're visibly upset. They're like, why would you allow this guy to come back? I thought TKO did not want to bring this guy back at all. But now we brought this guy back. And then obviously people are putting together this is why they didn't do they canceled those press conferences, right? So regardless, right? WWE is going to make money. The John Cena Brock Lesnar match is going to make WWE and TKO money. But at the same time, it's also going to give them flack and probably, I guess you can say, a negative reaction to it. Some fans, like I just mentioned, they just won't give a crap. They don't care. And some of the fans I've seen already said, well, if he's back, that means he must be cleared then of the situation, right? So that means he's in the green. While some fans just feel we don't give a shit, even if he is cleared, he still was somewhat a part of that. And they just feel like, no, dude, he can't be back. Now, the interesting thing is, WWE's shop account was actually selling Brock Lesnar fanals. So at that point, people were putting, and this was like midsummer, right? This is like June, like around late May, into June. And people were putting two and two together, like, wait a second. Does that mean Brock is cleared of the allegations? I guess there was a reason why they ended up selling those flannel shirts, right, on the WWE shop because he was coming back, all right. Um, and with Brock Lesnar basically being back now, um, I'm guessing TKO 100% did in with their investigation, and they basically found, no correlation that relates to Brock Lesnar being involved in the Vince stuff. And they said, okay, he's good to go. Now, again, we don't know behind the scenes, what's been going on. Did TKO really do an investigation, or did they just do this for a cash grab money thing? And they said, look, we'll just have him to have this one appearance. We just need to make some money. That's it, right? To sell tickets for Clash at Paris. Because I expect that's where their match is going to happen, at Clash at Paris, to sell fucking tickets, right? Um, you know, did Cena potentially ask to have a match with Lesnar? I don't know. Maybe he did. I guess it would make sense if Cena called to have the match with Lesnar and said, "Yeah, I would like to work with Lesnar one last time," or maybe put in the request, "Hey, can I work with Lesnar one time? I understand he's in some hot water, but I really would like to work with him because we know John Cena is definitely one of the dudes that gets to call his shots. Because Triple H has gone on record saying like, yeah, whatever Cena asked for, we'll give it to him, right? So for all we know, Cena could have asked to work with Lesnar one last time because he does know that Lesnar is one of his hated rivals, and maybe he wanted to fight Brock Lesnar one last time before he retires. So for all we know, it may have been Cena that asked for WWE and TKO to bring Lesnar back. We don't know. Now again, we'll have to see how it goes going forward. If after this match they do, it's over and then we never see Brock Lesnar ever again, well then that just means more than likely Cena asked TKO and WWE if they could bring Lesnar back for this match. And, reluctantly, they probably agreed to say, okay, we'll get you what you want since it is your retirement year, right? But if he appears occasionally for the big shows, okay, then that means more than likely he probably was cleared of the allegations or being involved in the allegations, right? Which, look, if it comes out and it says he was cleared and he was never involved in this, and there was obviously a judge that said no, he has no ties to anything that has to do with this lawsuit, then okay, fine. But a half of me, especially in the back of my head, is just like, I don't know, man. I don't know how to feel about that. Like, you're gonna let somebody that was basically not, even though he wasn't named by name in the allegations, he was basically indirectly referenced about that. And with the fact that WWE canceled their post-show press conferences with the media, it adds up why they did that because they know they don't want to talk about legal shit and what may have been involved because they know the media would have definitely, especially when Triple H would get up to do it, they'd just be asking questions time and time again. So what does this mean now that Brock's back? What does this mean about the allegations? Does that mean he was never a part of him? Stuff like that. And WWE and TKO probably did not want to deal with that. But regardless, there is still going to be bad PR slash bad fan things because you're just going to have some fans that just, they don't give a fuck. They're going to see it as you brought this dude back. He basically assaulted someone in a sexual manner, whether he truly did it or not. People are still going to feel that way because people just have that mindset to think he got accused of it, he fucking did it. Again, I'm not defending anything, and if you think I'm defending any side, I'm not. I'm a neutral party. I'm of the opinion, look, seems like he may have did it. If he didn't, fine, cool. I'm that type of innocent till proven guilty type of thing, but there has been no verdict about him and anything and stuff like that. Now, another thing that also kind of ties in the fact that he could potentially be coming, he could have came back up until tonight, is the fact that they openly said his name. There was multiple nights they openly said his name and referenced him on WWE TV. Like, I remember Paul Heyman referencing him. I remember Michael Cole would always reference things like that, especially over people that won matches over him within the past few years, right? So that only made me lead to believe, like, okay, why are we indirectly mentioning this guy? But then again, I was just like, maybe, okay, maybe it makes sense. You gotta at least mention the dude, right? Even though he may have did some effed up shit. But after tonight, who knows? Again, we don't know. We don't know if Cena asked for Lesnar to come back. We don't know if TKO and WWE did their extensive, looking into the case and they found evidence to where the dude is actually was not involved in the Janelle Grant stuff. Um, and they say, okay, he can come back. But that's the thing. Regardless, there's going to be a 50-50. Some people are going to be cool with it. Some people are absolutely going to hate it. I've already seen both sides of the spectrum. I've seen some people like the fact that he's back. Some people I've seen already tweets on my social media page, just where people just said they don't like him coming back, mostly because of the situation. But what I take it where this is gonna go with John Cena being a babyface for the remaining 4 months, in his time in WWE for the year, um, legitimately, it's probably because I think he's gonna have like more appearances on the build up to Clash at Paris, right? It's clear we're gonna get a match. I just hope it's a one and done match. Whatever next show he's on, he builds a program with, which will be, I think, I think the next big pay per view show he's showing up is Survivor Series, which I'm more than likely going to go to that event since it's in San Diego, California. And it's the day, it takes place the day after my birthday. So that's basically a birthday present for me, right? But basically that's where that makes sense there, and stuff like that. So I hope it's a one and done match. Makes sense. They've had a very crazy rivalry throughout the years, so it makes sense why they would do this match and stuff like that. Um, so yeah. In terms of where Cody Rhodes goes, I absolutely have no fucking clue, bro. I have no clue where he goes. Um, I guess maybe he could start a program with Drew McIntyre. I don't, maybe because Drew McIntyre did win the match. You know, I guess that's where they could go. We'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. I don't know where Cody's story gonna go. The only two dudes I can see him going, directions I'm going is maybe Drew McIntyre or if they end up turning Randy Orton heel, but I don't think they're going to turn Randy Orton heel for a while. Now, if they do a Randy Orton heel thing, then I could definitely see it WrestleMania 42, where it's Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton, but this time Randy Orton's going to be the heel because he's going to be desperate to win the WWE Championship, right? So there's that and everything. But regardless, as I'm ending off the video, it was a great match, great match. I'll make a video about the John Cena heel turn and my thoughts. Maybe we'll see if I can get my Uncle Daryl to join me in on the video for that as well. Maybe we can talk about the John Cena heel turn, if it was a success or a flop. Look, I like John Cena. Again, I'll just say this. The heel run had some fun, solid moments here and there throughout it, but even I have to admit it was definitely a failure. They could have done so much more with the heel run, and at the end of the day, that just kind of falls at the behest of The Rock. It kind of falls to the behest of The Rock, and it's kind of The Rock's fault that Cena's heel turn did not live up to the expectations what people thought it was going to be. Like I was legitimately thinking like, oh, we're gonna get fucking corporate Cena and shit like that. Never got that because The Rock literally never held up his end of the bargain. And because of it, well, it tanked the heel run. And with the exception of maybe the Randy Orton stuff and the CM Punk stuff, you know, the only thing that obviously you're gonna remember for the John Cena heel run in terms of like what it was really good, like damn good, was probably the CM Punk stuff. Like the CM Punk stuff was the thing. Like I don't know, and then also too, it just felt like John Cena wasn't having as fun as he did as he was with the heel turn. When he got to Punk as the heel, it seemed like he genuinely was having fun and he was enjoying it. And he was enjoying being a heel, messing around with CM Punk. And then obviously you could see in this match, you could easily tell, like, no, this dude's having fun out there. He's having fun, and it just seemed like throughout the process of the heel turn, up until the Punk stuff, it really felt like he wasn't having fun doing the heel stuff. So for all we know, maybe he initially never wanted to do the heel run, even though he said, "Yeah, okay, let's do it." It seems like a good idea. But if you watch the WWE Unreal show on episode 1, John Cena did tell Triple H, he's like, "Look, man, I'm okay with doing this, but look, it's kind of my storybook ending. I just don't want things to go wrong if things go wrong because you turn the pay, that's kind of going to be a glaring thing if hey, this is the thing, but then something came up where it ruins it, and then it basically ruins it all. So essentially, WWE is going to use these last 4 months to salvage the first like 7 months of the heel turn, or the past, realistically, the past 3 months of the heel turn and everything that went with it, and they kind of just, flush it in and out. Now looking back at it, I can say I was wrong about wanting to turn John Cena heel. Now looking back at it, I don't think they should have never turned him heel. And if they were going to turn him heel, they should have did it at WrestleMania 41, and it was a heel turn, which was just strictly John Cena's own actions, not something to do with The Rock, and Travis Scott and shit like that. Because if it was maybe a heel turn about John Cena on his own, then they would have been much better. But I guess in this case, you know, we see why John Cena never turned heel. And even if he did turn heel, he should have turned heel back in his prime glory days, back in when he was a full-time dude. Because it was hard to always do the heel turn because he was a part-time guy. He doesn't really show up for everything and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's kind of the thing. But yeah, I personally think WWE pivoted and they just said, you know what, fuck it. The Rock bailed on us. We're gonna bail on this fucking storyline, as well. So, and then I just hope going forward, if The Rock tries to interject himself, I hope Triple H literally tells The Rock, bro, fuck off, bro. You ruined one of our greatest of all time athletes, and they're in a heel turn that you started, and you never fucking filled the shoes to finish up and type any loose ends there. Um, but maybe we can go more in depth in that video, but I will say that the John Cena heel turn was sadly a failure. Like, I was very excited to see where it was going to go. I was very excited to see how his John Cena heel turn could be. But it was clearly obvious. Like, it was never believable unless The Rock was standing right beside him. And then you could just tell, like, albeit John Cena's great, he's better as a babyface than better than a heel. And it's the reason why he hasn't been a heel since he first started off. But you know, maybe I'll do that video and talk about it, with my Uncle Daryl, and we can talk about it and dissect what went wrong and give our thoughts of basically what went wrong and what could WWE have done better to improve the heel turn. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. But those are my thoughts with the shockingness of the SummerSlam stuff. So if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts, hit that subscribe button. About your thoughts with the John Cena heel turn. Was it a success or a failure? What were your thoughts on the Cody Rhodes versus John Cena match? And then what are your thoughts on Brock Lesnar returning? Do you like it? Do you absolutely hate it? So we'll see. But I'm gonna go over. Catch you guys in this video. Stay safe. Have a great rest of your day or your night. Till then, guys. Peace.